What's up, guys? This is Bradley alongside Dawson and special guest Zuha. Mark Andrews, our savior, on Instagram with us tonight. You're listening to the Charm City Sideline podcast. Zach could not make it because his power's out, dealing with all the snow and everything across the country right now. So his power went out about 5 minutes before we were about to go live. So Zach will not be here tonight. But Zuha, thanks for being on once again with us. How are you doing tonight?
Yes, thank you for having me once again. I'm doing pretty good myself. I also just dealt with the snowstorm.
Yeah.
Came back. Well, not just came back, but cleaned my entire driveway, and now I'm just chilling.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be a wild card Q&A this time, and obviously Ravens make the playoffs, win the AFC North. But there was some bad news coming out of that game, and that's gonna be the first question we're gonna talk about. So bails me out on Instagram, and also Landon Jalen asked about this. What are your thoughts on the Zay Flowers injury, and how do the Ravens continue to have an effective offense without him? Zuha, we'll start with you on this one.
All right. So, I've been looking at Flowers' injury. It looks like he's going to be most likely out versus the Steelers game, and if we do win that game, then he will more likely than not be available. That's what I hope. I know Harbaugh can be a little questionable on the reports sometimes, but he should probably be back by the second round. And I think the biggest thing for the Ravens to get through this game, actually, and a funny thing I want to mention before I get into this was last time we played the Steelers, it was like the opposite. Like Pickens was out, and we were all healthy, and then now it's gonna be Flowers out. They have Pickens back now, so that'll be interesting as well. But I think Bateman's gonna have to step up. I think he is very capable of doing that. Like he did it in the Browns game. He had 5 receptions, 78 yards, and a touchdown, I believe. So I think Bateman's gonna have to step up. I think we're gonna have to go kind of back to something similar that we did at the beginning of last season, which was, or not last season, seasons before, where we didn't really have as good of receivers, where we go down the middle of the field, we attack the defense with our tight ends. Of course, Derrick Henry is going to be Derrick Henry. We got to hope that we can still get that same production that we got out of the last game we played. And Isaiah Likely is going to have to step up. I think Mark Andrews will. He does have a bit of a issue in the playoffs and against Steelers as well, so that doesn't really combine that great. But I think, he played better against Steelers last game. I think we'll continue to see that improvement. I think, Bateman, as I said again. And, I think relying on those two, I'm not fully, I don't want to, rely on our other receivers. They're not, bad players. They'll give you, a play time to time, right? Wallace, Wallace, Aguilar, Walker. They're good for, a quick splash play here and there, but now, guys, I think Rashad Bateman's going to have to prove why he was picked 27th overall next weekend.
It always sucks, especially losing your number one wide receiver literally the week right before the biggest game of your season. There's no overlooking the loss of Zay Flowers. He's a 1,000-yard wide receiver. He's our guy. He's Lamar's go-to guy. But this season, we're kind of lucky because we have a lot of guys who have stepped up big time this season, and a guy like Rashad Bateman, who's very evidently a wide receiver one. This guy has been an absolute baller all season long, and we can finally sit here and genuinely rely on him having a big game. And I think that he will have a big game this Saturday. I really like his matchup against the Steelers. And like Zuha just said, Mark Andrews, our savior, his offense kind of revolves around a lot of guys stepping in time and time again and making plays, whether that's one play or 2 plays. You got a guy like Tylan Wallace that makes plays out of thin air. You got a guy like Nelson Aguilar coming back who's had his troubles, but at the same time, he can be a big wide receiver there. He can get you a lot of plays downfield. And just overall, you have a 2-headed monster at tight end. And then, of course, you have the king, Derrick Henry. So this offense, yes, is losing a big-time weapon, but at the same time, it's such a rich offense with weapons that we shouldn't be worried about this offense, stalling out this Saturday, because I don't think there's really a chance that can happen. I think this offense will roll. And I just like this rematch against Pittsburgh. I think much like the one a few weeks ago, I think the Ravens have a big time edge and advantage in this game. Even with the loss of Flowers, I do think the Ravens match up well. And considering they opened as 8.5-point favorites against the Steelers, I think Vegas kind of agrees. So we'll see what happens, but it looks like we kind of dodged a bullet with Zay going down, immediately when it happened. It could have been an injury where he doesn't play the whole postseason, and we just have to look on until next year. But luckily, it looks like we dodged that, and here's a really good chance that if the Ravens advance and make it to the divisional round and more than likely go to Buffalo, Zay Flowers could be returning.
Yeah, and we got a comment from Don C here. Sort of talking about Kate Mitchell and hopefully utilizing him after Zay going down. And I agree with your point, Dawson. I mean, at first it was ACL concern, in my opinion, just like the way it looked. In terms of the timeline of the injury, I feel like there's not even that much of a point of getting into it because right now the only concern is the Steelers game, and we'll just see what happens after that. I'm not sure if he'll be ready for the Bills game or not. No one knows. He doesn't know. John Harbaugh doesn't know. So we'll just have to wait and see. I think it's just going to be important to utilize everyone. And we saw John Harbaugh talk about this in his presser today. Like, it's not just Bateman. Obviously, Bateman's going to be the new wide receiver one. He's probably going to play X. He's going to be in the slot. He's going to be everywhere. But I think what we saw in the Browns game was instead of going to the next receiver in line, I think likely got kind of a bigger role. I think it's going to be a lot of 12 personnel, Likely and Andrews on the field. Probably getting Likely involved in the screen game a lot. I know they like him. We'll see if they throw any screens to Bateman. I know people like Tez Walker a lot. He played a little bit. I was watching the film of his snaps from the Browns game. Kind of just ran some clear out routes on the plays that he was in when they were in 11 when it was Bateman, Wallace, and Tez. But I don't know. Aguilar coming back will help a lot. I think that was something that was a little scary at first, maybe not even realizing that Aguilar was injured. And it's like, oh, Flowers gets out. It's just Bateman and Tylan Wallace. But it'll be Bateman and Aguilar and then Tylan Wallace. But I think the Ravens will have 2 or even 1 receiver on the field for a lot of the time. And also getting Justice Hill back, hopefully, will be key as well.
I was just about to say that, Brad, because we just had a comment over on Instagram. Somebody asked, is Justice Hill healthy? And from the looks of it, he's probably going to be back this Saturday. John Harbaugh, take it with a grain of salt, was optimistic that even battling the illness that he will return out of concussion protocol. He's not experiencing concussion symptoms still, of course, but he has to return to practice before he can clear the protocol. So looks like the Ravens are going to be getting a big-time weapon in Hill back, which obviously, like Brad said, will help big time considering what he's done this season for the passing offense, as crazy as that sounds. So that's going to be a huge, huge get back for this game. That means everything.
Yeah, for sure. Don C's comment, I don't know if you guys saw Harbaugh's Zoom call. He just said yes to like 3 or 4 questions in a row. That was... He's locked in, I guess. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that was kind of funny.
I guess we'll have to see on the field.
Yeah, he did not look happy this morning.
Ooh, Harbaugh.
Also, they had to do the Zoom call because of the snow, so probably wasn't too thrilled about that either. But
Oh yeah.
Anyway, thanks for that question from Bails Me Out and Landon Jalen. We'll get into the next one. This is from Carson Kovacs. I think he asked about if Monken leaves, who would be next in line. But I also wanted to pose the question to you guys of, are you concerned that the Bears or any other team will hire Todd Monken? And then if so, who is next in line? In my opinion, it'd be T. Martin. But I guess I'd be curious to know if you guys would have any other names in mind. But I guess we'll start with you, Zuha. What are your concern levels on Monken possibly leaving with a head coaching job?
As of right now, I know the Bears just requested him, and I mean, yeah, to Todd Monken's credit, he has had an incredible season calling plays. I mean, we have one, I think, probably the second best offense in NFL history, only behind the greatest show on turf right now, statistically at least. So, I mean, like, it makes sense that Todd Monken's getting these calls. As for if he will get hired or not, as of right now, I think it's still a little too early to tell. I mean, I don't think the Bears will go that way. I think as someone mentioned earlier, I forget who, but like someone mentioned that like the Bears are interviewing a lot of people, and I've noticed like a lot of other teams are like the Jets. I saw the Jets short list of head coaches, and it was like 20 like people, and I was like, yeah. I mean, obviously you're not going to hire all of them, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
So I don't think out of everyone that's available, I don't think Todd Monken will get hired. I feel like there's like a lot more like qualified, and also a lot of people that will like get hired because of like connections over Todd Monken as well. Like one big one being like Arthur Smith, or even though he's clearly not better than Todd Monken, Arthur Smith might get hired before Todd Monken does. So that's how I feel. But if he was to leave, I would say, I think, as you said earlier, I think it would definitely be T. Martin. Like, if you like watched like like any of like the clips on like Hard Knocks or like any of the Ravens Wired, it's always T. Martin. Like like he drew up one of the touchdown. Oh, the Devontae Walker touchdown. He like drew that up, or like I don't know. It was Harbaugh that
Harbaugh drew that
and then
one up, but T. Martin did something.
T. Martin called the play. T. Martin was like called the play. Yeah. So it's clear they has a pretty big like role in our offensive play calling. And I mean, it's pretty. I mean, our receivers. If you've seen our receivers, they've developed incredibly as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would not mind having T. Martin as our offensive coordinator. I think he's got the experience now. I think he's more than qualified. I don't know. I mean, the Ravens usually offensive coordinator wise, they aren't the best at hiring them. So I would wonder if they maybe also would go outside the team to hire someone as well. And I don't have like a short list of candidates right off the top of my head, but
yeah.
Is James Urban still available as an offensive coordinator? That one?
I think he kind of got demoted to. I think he stayed with the Ravens when T. Martin took over. But I think he has he's like the assistant quarterbacks. He's something now, like assistant.
Oh, he's lower now.
Okay. Yeah, I think he would be available, but
he's not the best candidate, probably.
Yeah, I think the good news is if Monken were to leave, T. Martin's not going to leave because he would just stay as ROC.
Right.
I do think there's a chance that T. Martin leaves though, and Monken doesn't. I think McDonald just fired their OC over there in Seattle. So,
yeah, that could be bad for us. Okay, maybe in that case, Martin might just leave on his own.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, if Monken leaves, I would definitely say like the strong favorite is T. Martin.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I think there is absolutely zero chance Todd Monken leaves Baltimore. I think, with all due respect to Todd Monken, he's done absolutely wonderful things in Baltimore. He's brought this inner Lamar Jackson out. This offense has revolutionized. It's absolutely incredible. It's so much more than what we had with Greg Roman. Obviously, we all know that story. And I wouldn't take him for granted or want him to leave at all. And I just truthfully believe that no team right now, because if you look at all the teams with head coaching openings, at least the large majority of them, they all have very young, very talented and promising quarterbacks. And I'm not going to discredit them whatsoever, but I highly doubt a team is going to want to bring in a coach that's 58 years old to develop a young quarterback. No discredit, like I said. I don't want to sit here and bash on Todd Monken, but he's like 58 years old. And to my knowledge, I think that would make him the 6th oldest head coach in the NFL if he was hired into next season as a head coach. And I just don't truthfully see a team going that path. He also has a troubled past as a head coach. It wasn't successful. It didn't work out. And he's been great. He was great in Georgia, obviously, as offensive coordinator, came over here to Baltimore, and he's been doing amazing things here since. I think that on the opposite end too, I don't really think that there's an opportunity that would present itself where he would want to leave. I think he's got a really good situation in Baltimore, and he knows that. And I think he kind of wants to ride this out until he can't ride it any further. And hopefully that's winning a Super Bowl, or who knows what it is, maybe 2 with Lamar Jackson, if this year is really the year. So I think that teams are going to look for really young guys. I think that's literally the new trend with these teams that have young quarterbacks. I think that's obviously the route they always go. And I just, if there's any team that would hire him, I think it would be like the Chicago Bears, because they're a very questionable franchise. And I just don't see it happening. I think these guys, all these coaches are going young. Our teams are going with young coaches. And I just think that Todd Monken's staying in Baltimore. But if he did leave, I would be extremely happy with the next man up. That would very likely be T. Martin, because his relationship with Lamar Jackson has been incredible. He has helped him so unbelievably much in the past few years with him being here as the quarterback coach and all these offensive assistant roles he's got. And I just think that it would be a really good – either way, I think we're in good hands. I think if Todd Monken stays, obviously we're doing really well. And I think at the very worst, if he does leave, I think T. Martin would take over and do a tremendous job. So I don't think there's anything to fear as far as like who we're going to have as offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I don't think I could have said it better myself. I agree with everything that both of you guys said. If I were to put money on it, I'd definitely say that Monken stays. I think there's definitely a higher chance that T. Martin leaves. So I think it'll be more so the quarterback coach that kind of has a vacancy there. But we'll get into our third question, and this is kind of a fun one from Jackson. What was your favorite game and/or moment from the regular season this year. Dawson, I guess we can start with you.
All right, I'm going to answer both of these because there's been so many fun games and moments from the season. My favorite game, and this does not, I was at this game, so it makes it even more special for me. The Thursday night football game, Bengals at Ravens. That game was absolutely incredible. A shootout to the end, much like the first matchup. That game was just everything, dude. That game Ravens were already doing very well, but that game put them on the map, put Lamar squarely in the MV3 conversation. That game was absolutely hype. It was incredible. It was a great atmosphere. Like I said, even if I was not at this game, I would probably be very heavily leaning forward as far as that being my favorite game either way. But I'm not going to dive too much into that because obviously we all know how that game went. But my favorite moment, my very specific favorite moment play of the season has to be against the Bills, dude. First play from scrimmage, Derrick Henry all the way to the house. I mean, think about a play this season. You got the Lamar Jackson stiff arm, which I'm sure everyone knows about, obviously, against Cincy earlier in the season. That play was incredible. There's been so many plays this year that have just been amazing. But the Derrick Henry run against the Bills from the first play of scrimmage, dude, I don't know what it was, dude. That was I shot like a firework, dude. It was incredible. It was just a jolt. Dude, the game, the magnitude of that moment, dude, in the first play, this dude takes it, 84 yards to the house. It was just incredible, dude. That has to be my favorite play of the season if I had to pick one.
Dawson, I'm thankful that you went first because I had to actually think collect my top 3 games and choose between which one. And my top game, I think, this is a pretty consensus pick. It would be the first Bengals game. And that game was insane. Every facet of the way. We scored 41 points. Everything was what do you call it, a plot twist. Everything was a plot twist in that game.
Yeah.
We were down for a good bit of that game. Our defense wasn't looking good. Then Lamar makes that crazy stiff arm, touchdown to Isaiah Likely. Then I think, was that to tie it or was that to?
That was to, I think that was to make it us down 4 or to tie it. But I do know that Marlon's pick was after that.
Oh, okay. Okay. So now I remember. Okay. So I think it was to tie it then. It was 35-35. Yeah. And then Marlon gets the interception. I see them where we have them at field goal range, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, no, we haven't been able to stop them all day. What's going to change here? Marlon gets the pick. We get the field goal. And Justin Tucker had been struggling all season up to that point. He knocked a 55-yarder through. Then what was it? Then in overtime was crazy too because we literally fumbled, and then what happened? We they have the ball in our 35-yard line, and we're all thinking it's over.
They ran it 3 times in a row. They ran the ball 3 times in a row instead of just scoring. They could have easily scored a touchdown.
Yeah, no, their passing offense was on fire that day. Yeah, definitely. They missed the field goal. Derrick Henry on the very next play breaks a 50-yard run, and I'm like, dude, I was in my apartment, and my dad brought me some groceries. I had them in my hand. I was literally started jumping up and down when he put that run, and then we won that game.
Yeah,
so that definitely has to be the top for me.
And
favorite moment, I would have to say. It would have to be that Marlon Humphrey pick 6 versus the Steelers. I think. That game was such a dogfight. We haven't beat the Steelers we haven't had a statement game versus the Steelers like that in a while.
Yeah,
and we're up, but it felt the Steelers can still tie it, make this a game. Everything's on the line. Then Marlon comes up with that play. All of a sudden, everything feels just perfect. Yeah, no, that play was momentum shifting. In season momentum shifting too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would say you guys compiled my favorite ones together. It's probably would have been hard for all of us to have completely different ones. I'm gonna say my favorite moment was probably also the Marlon pick 6. That was just a game of it felt like it was about to go in the wrong direction. You had the Lamar Jackson interception, and then what was it? I think 2 plays later, Marlon gets a pick six. It's just like the crowd goes crazy. Kevin Burkhardt's like screaming. Tom Brady's screaming in the background. That was so hype. I think my favorite game was also Week 5 Bengals for Zuha, what you were talking about. I mean, it felt so over when Lamar fumbled the snap. Like, that game was over. And when they ran the ball on first down, I was like, are they really got to do this 3 times in a row and just kick it? It was like they were settling for a 55-yard field goal. And not to mention, Zach Taylor then ices his own kicker. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, yeah.
But he was like lining up to kick, and Zach Taylor called a timeout. And then he missed. And like the irony of Derrick Henry just sprinting down the sideline 15 seconds after the field goal was missed, getting down to like the 5 is just hilarious. But yeah, I think we kind of covered everything. I'm trying to think of, I mean, obviously the Texans game, I felt like, in my opinion, I felt like Lamar's touchdown run against the Texans was kind of his MVP moment, but I guess not.
Someone mentioned the Michael Pierce pick, which is like,
Yeah.
that was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
It's just this past game, I was so distraught after the Zay Flowers injury. I didn't really enjoy anything else. So I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm pulling up the schedule here. The Bills game was amazing.
I've really enjoyed all the Lamar to Bateman bombs this season.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
The Chargers one was beautiful.
The Bucks one was
Giants.
Too,
The
yeah.
Giants.
The Giants one, that route was beautiful, first of all, and then the jukes, he put 2 people on the ground after that, too.
Yeah.
In Jacksonville, we're done.
Favorite memory from the 2017 London game, guys.
Get Mason out of here, dude. We're not doing that.
44 to 7. That's Jags Nation.
Oh, okay.
44 to 7, dude.
I hate that Jags game because Keaton tore his ACL in that game too.
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah.
Let's see. Broncos blowout was fun, but I don't think there was any. Oh, Zay Flowers had a great touchdown in that game.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
I don't think anything crazy happened against the Commanders.
That was a pretty normal game, honestly. Yeah.
I will say, even though we lost at the time, at least Isaiah Likely's touchdown against the Chiefs was sick. The catch and run.
I agree.
That was beautiful. I remember seeing like the StatCast NBC was like he has a 0.1% chance to score after he caught the pass. That was pretty cool. I mean, we're gonna need that Isaiah Likely on Saturday.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, we just have one more question, and this is from Maddie Tannenbaum and L5L Jim, and they're kind of just asking about the Steelers game, and obviously we have a Steelers preview later in this week, but I guess I'll pose this to Dawson to start. Just like, what are your initial thoughts going to the Steelers game? What are your concerns regarding, Zay Flowers, if any, if you still had more to say about that, or, anything else going into this one?
So in the back of my mind, I have this small fear that I think all Ravens fans do, because we're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have had our number for literally the last 10 years. It seems like the Ravens can never beat the Steelers. And up until a few weeks ago, that was the case. And the Ravens finally came out and played a complete game and really beat down the Steelers, which was fascinating to see and unlike anything of recent memory. So even though they still had 3 fumbles, they somehow got back to us every time. So I think I'm a little nervous just knowing that it's the Steelers, but in the same time, I genuinely do feel really good about this game. I really like the rematch only being a few weeks apart and it being in the same stadium, obviously home field we got. And, like I said, even without Zay, I still feel really good, but with Zay, I'd feel much better. But I think we match up well against them. And I think if we play clean football, man, there's no team that right now could honestly make me fear the Ravens losing. I think the Ravens are the only thing standing in front of themselves as far as reaching the Super Bowl and, ultimately winning the whole thing. But I don't know. I don't know what you guys all seen today, but the Ravens gave the Steelers a little bit of bulletin board material, and I don't like that for George Pickens. Long story short, Lamar Jackson came out with this scent, cologne, if you want to call it, and he was showing the boys around the locker room today, and they were kind of joking around about it, and something along the lines of oh, it smells soft. like George Pickens. So, and of course,
And it was in the background, like it wasn't even in the video. But
yeah. And now, of course, the media is circling it around, and everyone knows that the Ravens are calling George Pickens soft, which he got absolutely clamped last week. So I'm not really fearful of him. So there's a little extra nudge going into this game. There's a little bit of bulletin board material for the Steelers, which obviously always correlates into like the intensity of the matchup. But I think this is going to be an awesome game, dude. It's Saturday night at the bank against the Steelers. Wild card football, dude. Like that is textbook. Like that is, I don't know what more you could ask for as far as like intensity level, physicality, like hype. Like it's going to be amazing, dude. I cannot freaking wait. But like I said, in the back of my mind, I'm a little nervous. We all are. But I think the Ravens are going to play a complete game. And as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot, man, there's no reason we should be losing this game. Steelers have lost, 4 or 5 in a row to close the season, and we've won 4 in a row. So it's like right now, all the momentum, is in Baltimore's corner, and Pittsburgh is just spiraling. So they're still a really good team. Obviously, you cannot overlook them. But like right now, dude, I think anybody with any sense has to take Baltimore in this matchup. I just think it has to be that way.
Yeah, I think with Pickens, I think we got the corners to match up with them. I think we usually do well against him in general. I mean, he had that what was it, in 2023? He had that one touchdown on Marlon, I guess. But I mean, we do well against that Steelers offense. It's just our offense, the 20-point rule with the Steelers. So we don't we haven't been hitting that until just a few weeks ago where we scored 34. I think, our offense, I think a big key to that is Derrick Henry has to play well. We have to do the same thing that we did in week 16, compared to week 11. I think that was a huge key and a difference between winning and losing. So getting Derrick Henry involved has to be a big priority, and getting him involved correctly, that is, I should say. And that'll open up everything for Lamar. It did. Lamar has a history of kind of struggling with against Pittsburgh, and he looked really good against them in week 16. He had 3 touchdowns. He had the 1 pick, but other than that, he looked very good. So if he can just keep that up, I think that'll be great. I mean, yeah, what can I say? The Steelers, it's that typical Steelers, breakdown where they start off really hot and lose 4 straight. So you think that they're gonna lose in the playoffs, but you never know. It's it's any given Sunday in the NFL. You gotta still take every game seriously. Still gotta play them at your 110%. Can't assume them to just fall off. You gotta be the reason to that that thing keeps on going. You gotta keep keep that going. You can't give them their first. I mean, these guys gotta be motivated to not give them their first playoff win since 2016. So yeah, I think, and then the Ravens are still hot. I think they are peaking at the right time compared to maybe other seasons like last season. They came in winning 8 straight. And there's one thing that Dan Campbell said, and he said that winning 11 games in a row, something like that, you can't do that again in a season. You can't just do that. It's as you win each game, as you keep your winning streak going, it gets harder to win every single game just because you forgot what it's like to lose. You don't have that same, and yeah, that's facts. Yeah, this game
you don't have that same fire under you.
Yeah, you don't have that exactly. You don't have that same fire. You start assuming, you start feeling you can be any, and maybe you can beat anybody, but you kind of come in with that overconfidence that you're not taking teams, you're playing down to teams basically.
Yeah.
And you just can't do that, especially against one of your biggest rivals in the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I
also really like that we beat this team pretty in a good fashion just a few weeks ago. So it's this team's going into this relationship. What am I talking about? Matchup. Crazy, dude. Matchup. I mean, it is a relationship, but matchup. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. They're going into this matchup on high intensity. They know they can beat this team. They just did, and they, the whole thing of you're not a Baltimore Raven until you beat the Steelers. Everybody in this team's a Baltimore Raven now. You know, so they're going into this game. Spirits are high, dude. They know they can beat this team. They just did it. They're looking to do it again. And dude, what better? How could it feel better than beating the Steelers twice in 1 month and putting them out? Sending them home, sending them to Cancun. That'd be great. For future, trash talk or next season matchups. Like we got two of the last the last two games on them, put them out. Like this is a huge game as far as just like obviously going to the Super Bowl and advancing to playoffs. But like outside of that, dude, rivalry aside, like this is a huge game for the locker room and like spirits as far as like this rivalry, because it's been so freaking one-sided forever. Like this could quickly turn it around.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this game. If I have a thought, why does Amazon Prime have a playoff game?
Okay.
Brad, we talked about how it was weird for the Ravens and Steelers to play on Fox because like they always play on CBS or Sunday Night Football. It's going to be 5 times as weird to play on Amazon. A Ravens Steelers playoff game at night on Amazon Prime is crazy.
Dude, I'm so pumped. I cannot wait. I freaking love the Amazon Prime broadcast. Dude, you guys can look at me all you want. You can say what you want. I am a huge fan of the Amazon Prime broadcast. I think Herbstreit and Michaels are fantastic. Even how old Michaels is getting if he whispers in the booth or whatever you guys want to say. Like, I think the panel is really good. The broadcast is incredible. Like the graphics are clean. Like, I love it. And it is going to be a little weird. I agree with you there, Brad. Like, it is going to look weird because it's not like a CBS, like a traditional 1 p.m. Ravens-Steelers game. But at the same time, like, I think it's going to do really well. And it's the first one. It's the first playoff game, so let's hope it's not a Netflix crash like the fight was a few months ago. So we'll see as far as that. But, like, I'm pretty hyped, dude. I like the Amazon Prime broadcast a lot, and it's going to be fun to watch.
It's not really it's not really the announcers that I dislike. Like, I'm fine with Michaels and Herbstreit. It feels so weird for, like, a playoff game to be on that platform, I feel like.
I will say this, though. It beats Peacock. It definitely
Yeah.
By
I
far.
agree.
Well, because, how many people actually have Peacock? Like, I mean, how many people actually have Peacock and, like, exclusively? A lot of people still have Prime Video because, people, buy stuff off Amazon, have Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So, at least, for, frequent shoppers as well, they have Amazon Prime. But I mean, being exclusive is a little I mean, I guess back in the day, when they didn't have all these streaming services, so a game like this would have been on NFL Network, and I don't know how many people had that, to be fair. So I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I mean, I don't have any problem with it, but
I just think it's like one of the biggest rivalries ever, and it kind of gets it gets a primetime game, but I feel like it gets like the lowest platform of like if you were to rank all of them, like CBS, NBC, ESPN, like I don't know. I was a little surprised by that. I felt like they were going to put like Chargers Texans on Prime or Bucks Commanders or something like that, but I guess they think Ravens Steelers is the worst matchup of the week, which is a compliment to the Ravens.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
I'm just glad we got the 8 o'clock window. That's gonna be hype. Saturday night at the bank.
Yeah,
that's gonna be hype.
Yeah.
Real quick,
we'll
answer this question. I've got a lot of people asking: should the Ravens bring back OBJ in light of the Zay Flowers injury? Like a yes or no?
I just real quick, I wanted them to bring back OBJ when we cut Deontay Johnson, but like you got a playoff game in 5 days. Like I think it's too late to do that right now.
I agree. It's kind of like too sudden. I don't see how it would help. Like he's not going to be the wide receiver 1. Like he's not going to be wide receiver 2. Like he might be, but
I mean now with Flowers' injury not being you're not season-ending serious. I think it's fine that we don't have to bring OBJ. I think we can just rely on the other guys to step up. I would have said it maybe if Flowers tore his ACL or something, then I would have said, yeah, okay, bring in Odell. We need someone to be that wide receiver too. Otherwise, our offense becomes kind of one-dimensional. It becomes like the Titans game offense where we're just throwing down the middle and they know what we're doing. So, but since Flowers is probably only going to be out for the next week, I think it's fine that we don't bring back Odell for a one-game rental.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that Flowers is out multiple games, but we'll just have to. I think even if Flowers was out for the whole playoffs, I don't think I would bring Odell in.
It's just the fact that if he came in, he would learn the offense really quickly. Obviously,
yeah.
So much he would come in and already be knowledgeable. He'd already know.
Yeah. Okay. Really quickly, I think this is such an interesting game, Broncos Bills. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I would take the Bills to win, but I think the Bills got a bad matchup. With a 2 versus 7, that's supposed to be a cakewalk, and I don't know if it's going to be one.
Dude, I agree. I was talking to my buddy the other day. I'm not sitting here claiming that Denver's going to win this game, but I will tell you that Denver, I think, does give Buffalo trouble. Like, I think Buffalo is in for a run, and I think Denver, dude, like, they're an air raid offense, dude. Like, Bo Nix is playing incredible. Like, Sean Payton's got that team rolling, dude. They got a lot of weapons right now that are just, like, exploding out of nowhere. And, dude, they got a good defense, dude. Good luck, Buffalo. I wish you luck. I hope you lose, but good luck.
I mean, the more that you guys mention and the more that I think about it, you guys do make good points. I mean, the Bills' defense really isn't that good, honestly, if we're being honest. And then, I mean, the Broncos' offense has been on fire recently. And then, like, you look at the Bills' offense, which is obviously one of the best, but still. But then you have the Broncos' defense, which is also one of the best. But also, the Broncos' defense hasn't been playing that well recently. I mean, I guess they shut out the Carson Wentz Chiefs, but, like, I mean, they haven't been playing that well. But I mean, the way I see it, obviously, I'm gonna be rooting for the Broncos. Like, yeah, I don't want the Bills to make it any further. But I would say the Broncos will probably give them a close game. I think the Bills will ultimately come out on top of it. Like, it'll be like a 27-34 type of win. I think something like that.
So hypothetically, if Denver wins, we win. We would get the winner of Texans and Chargers in Baltimore, divisional week.
Baltimore, yes.
Yeah.
Denver beats Kansas City.
Denver beats Kansas City.
AFC Championship in Baltimore against Denver. We smoke them 50-10.
Yeah, no. At that point, Denver's run out of gas. They did too.
Real quick, too. I don't want to drag this on, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know, too. And if you don't, I'm going to inform you. If you don't realize, the Ravens have played every single team in the AFC playoff picture. And
they beat them all besides the Chiefs.
They beat every single one except for Kansas City, and you can argue that they probably should have won that game. They lost by a toe.
Literally a toe.
So the Ravens have played every single playoff team in this picture. So, like, they know these teams, and I know it works both ways. But, like, I feel really good about this. Like, there's not really one team that, like, genuinely scares me. I guess you could say Buffalo in Buffalo, of course, is a little intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't know, man. I like our odds. I really like our odds this year. Like, it's different when you've played all these teams, and, like, you know, like I said, I know it works both ways, but I like how it looks for us, man. I like how the Ravens, it could be good. And hypothetically, if you go to the Super Bowl, dude, the revenge tour is complete. You run through Pittsburgh. You're probably going to play Buffalo, so you beat Josh Allen in Buffalo, and then you got to beat Kansas City in Kansas City. So it's like, dude, hypothetically, in the best possible scenario, dude, this would be one of the best seasons of all time for the Ravens, if not the best.
Oh, absolutely. I think for the Bills, I think the biggest advantage that works our way is that their run defense is one of the worst in the NFL, and we have Derrick Henry. So that should definitely give us a pretty big advantage offensively, at least. And defensively, we played pretty well against Josh Allen in the past too. So
our defense is like top 3, though.
And I know that the Bills are in Buffalo and play half their games there, but tackling Derrick Henry in 20-degree weather is a lot harder than tackling Derrick Henry in 55-degree weather.
Yeah.
100%.
So it's going to be tough. And like you guys mentioned, the Bills' defense is really bad. I'm looking at it right now, and they're
even
like
Matt Milano, who was a Pro Bowler like a few seasons ago or last season, like he's not playing well. He's been
Yeah, they have not been good this year. So, I mean, I think the Broncos have a chance because it could be a shootout because of how bad the Bills' defense is. So,
dude, that would be so awesome to see Denver go in there and beat Buffalo. I would love that, dude. I would love that.
And you guys talked about like it being scary for the Ravens. I think I'm definitely most concerned about a Chiefs game. I think the Ravens match up pretty well against the Bills. I think the Ravens do not match up well against the Chiefs. So
yeah, that's scary to think about.
But I do think on their day, the Ravens could definitely beat the Chiefs well-handedly. It's just, as I've always said, it's a mentality thing.
Literally, dude, the only thing I'm all on this on is every single playoff game we play this season, Derrick Henry has to have a minimum of 20 carries. I don't care if he has 15 carries in the first half for 12 yards. He has to keep getting the football all the way through each quarter. Like, keep feeding Derrick Henry. He's the ultimate closer. We've seen so many games this year where at halftime we're like, ooh, it's not really working. Then he ends the game with 150 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. This game, this past week, Perfect example, dude. Halftime, we're like, oh, it's not really working. Dude ends the game with 140 with 2 touchdowns. It's just like, keep feeding him, dude, and he will win and close you the game. I don't care. Keep feeding Derrick Henry.
Yeah, once Derrick Henry gets like one run over 12 yards, 10 yards, I think the defense is already they get a little tired and the fear grows in them. So,
and like you said, it was 20 degrees, dude.
We talked about this. I can't remember what game we talked about it. We were doing a preview, and I remember saying, I don't care if he has 10 carries for 20 yards at halftime. You keep running the ball no matter what, because he will break one. So,
yes.
Especially a cold game against the Steelers. It's going to be windy. It's going to probably be below 10 degrees wind chill. So, and like without Zay Flowers, most likely.
We'll Exhibit A of that is literally just the Browns game last week.
Yeah.
He had like 9 yards at the end of the first half.
And
we know what happened in the second half. So, what you guys said, keep feeding Derrick Henry.
For sure. I think we got to all the questions we had, and I think we covered everything we liked too. So with that, if you guys are still here, be sure to like the video. Helps us out a lot. Subscribe. If you're on Instagram, feel free to go check out Charm City Sideline on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. We go do 3 episodes a week over on YouTube. Thanks to everyone interacting with us in the chat tonight. Also, feel free to check us out on Spotify. Rate us 5 stars. Links in the description of all of our videos. Check out Zuha on Instagram, at Mark Andrews, our savior on Instagram. Great Ravens meme page. Hilarious stuff. So thanks, guys, for being here tonight, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
All right, sounds good. Peace.
See ya.